All right, my peoples, on a day, make we yarn today. Okay, we're going to be discussing a great video today. I'm excited to bring you guys this podcast. We're going to be reviewing a speech by one of our favorite leaders in Africa, Ibrahim Traoré, who is one of the three kings who are right now making headlines in Africa. This speech that I'm going to be reviewing today is one that he made during the AES summit in Niger last week, where they met for the first time, both he and the leader over there in Mali, as well as the leader in Niger, met during the summit. I want to play the speech of Ibrahim Traoré because I think this speech of his is very telling. It's one that I think Africans all over the world today are having really good conversations as relates to our leaders in Africa. We're seeing the rise of Pan-Africanism. Africans all over, especially on the continent, are displaying their displeasure regarding the bad leaders that they've had over the years. We're seeing revolt in places like Kenya. There are other African countries who are today asking, why are we tolerating these bad leaders who have done nothing but improve and sought after the interest of foreigners in their countries and more than their own interests? So it is amazing that during the AES summit, Ibrahim Traoré, during his speech, focused on this. I want to talk about what he describes, Western puppets in Africa. Africans who are Western puppets. He calls them living room slaves. That's what he calls them. The bad leaders in Africa who have sold our countries and sold our people cheaply for their own pockets. He calls these people living room slaves. So I want to play the speech that he gave because I think he truly blasted all those puppet leaders who many of us, even not most of us in Africa and also in the diaspora, are tired of, and we're voicing our discontent with these types of people. So we're going to play that and we're going to review that. But before we do that, first things first, I want to give honor and gratitude to James Starks 4574, who gave a $10 super chat on my last video. I want to say thank you so much for your $10 super chat. I truly appreciate that, guys. Keep the super chats coming. Also, you can also donate and become a Patreon on our Patreon page. Since my last announcement on this, I've begun seeing brothers stepping up to the plate. So I want to say thank you, brothers, and thank you to all the sisters who are Patreons and support this channel. I truly appreciate every one of you. Okay, so let's talk about this speech, because we're going to have a very healthy but candid conversation as it relates to the bad leaders Africans have had over the years and many who still exist today and are selling us down the river. But take a listen to this speech and we'll have a conversation about this.
From the AES comrades, members of the different governments of the AES, dear participants present at this first summit, heads of state of the AES, good morning. It is an immense pleasure and an honor to meet today on a blessed date, a memorable date of July 6, 2024 here in Niamey. Before anything else, let us give thanks to God who has allowed this day to be. We thank him for everything he has been able to do for us until today, and everything he will do for the people of the AES. Allow me also to pay tribute to the people of Niger. These people who have suffered so much since the advent of the CNSP, and who continue to stand. Thank you to the Nigerians who gave us a warm welcome yesterday when we set foot on the soil of our homeland here. You are more than friends, you are more than neighbors, you are our brothers, you are our sisters, because brotherhood goes beyond friendship or neighborliness. We have the same blood flowing in our veins. In our veins flows the blood of these valiant warriors who fought and who reserved these lands that we call Mali, Burkina and Niger. In our veins flows the blood of those valiant warriors who helped the whole world get rid of Nazism and many other scourges. In our veins flows the blood of those valiant warriors who were deported from Africa to Europe, America, Asia and other places, and who helped build these states during slavery. In our veins flows the blood of worthy men and women of the AES.
You know, I gotta tell you something real quickly. One thing I want to draw your attention is how people respond to him. One of the things that's obvious to me is every time Ibrahim Traoré speaks, the attentiveness that you find with people around in the room, people that he's speaking to, is such that they are so engaged and tuned in. He's a man that many really feel his energy. They feel his authenticity. They love what he represents, what he stands for. He's a true Pan-African. And so he's able to connect with anyone all over the world. He connects with me, he connects with a lot of people in the diaspora. He's in Niger, right? He's in a different country. And he's connecting with the citizens in that country. And I think it's amazing to have a man who is demonized by the West and Europe. And they use ridiculous words like he's a dictator, nonsense. They want to tell us, about one of our own, right? The same person who is being demonized by these, people who are subjugating us, right? Who don't want to see us successful. That man appeals to us and is able to touch and connect with us in ways that we haven't seen in many of our leaders. I wanted to point that out because I thought that is that's important to point out.
Africa, this continent has suffered so much and continues to suffer because of the imperialists. These imperialists have only one cliché in mind, that Africa is the empire of slaves. This is how they see Africa. For them, Africans belong to them, our lands belong to them, our subsoils belong to them. They have never been able to change their mentality up to today. It is deplorable. But how does it proceed? It is unfortunately ongoing since the 60s, when the simulacra of independence were given to Africa. They just placed local servants at the head of their sub-prefecture according to them, to be able to continue to feed them. These local vassals that we will qualify today as living room slaves have no other reference point than to seek to live like the master, to satisfy the master, and to do everything that the master dictates. He steals, he pinches from the states, brings everything to the master, and their wealth is kept at the master's safe. They do everything to live like the master and always satisfy him. When the master orders, they execute. Do you know who these living room slaves are? Well, we will explain to you what they are. They are individuals who have no dignity. who have no morals, who have no personality, but the slave master has always known how to identify these individuals.
Ain't that the truth? Ain't that the truth? That you can always tell white folks know how to identify what he calls living room slaves. You know, here in the West, they call those the house Negroes. Right? The house Negroes. White folks have always known how to identify those ones, because those are the ones that are always going to green. You know, they always dance when there's new music. They can't wait to be at the beck and call of white people. They're the ones that are always, yes, sir, yes, ma, you know, those subservient individuals. White folks know how to identify those people. And so that's what he's saying. That these are the type of ones who only think of themselves. They don't think about their people. They think of themselves and their family members. We're going to have a conversation today. We really are. Because I thought that speech was telling, and it was so right for the moment. Especially what's going on today in society. What we're seeing unravel in Africa, on the continent, as well as in the diaspora. Pan-Africanism is really alive and well. It's gaining a lot of momentum. We're going to have a good conversation today.
Toujours su identifier ces individus. Ils sont toujours prêts.
They are always ready to betray their brothers to satisfy the master. They have betrayed us since independence, and others continue to betray us to this day for the benefit of their master. These individuals continue against all odds to plunder Africa, to help the master to plunder Africa. They like to say it every year in their economic survey, that Burkina is the poorest country, Mali is the poorest country, Niger is the poorest country. We are ranked among the last. Very well, if we are as poor as they say, but when the time came to take our responsibilities, we asked these masters to leave the place. Why don't they want to leave?
Real talk. That is real talk. You see, when you often hear people talk about Africa as a poor continent, then why are you there? Do you understand what I'm saying? That's what he's saying. That you find these white folks who say Africa is a poor continent, then why are you there? Why are you in our country? What are you doing there? Do you understand what I'm saying? But they know how to find these living room slaves, right? The ones that they put in place right after we got our independence, so-called independence, which Africa has never got. They put puppets in there. That's why Africa has stayed the way it is. And the moment we have the likes of Ibrahim Traoré, right, and many others who rise up in the past, or rise up even in our present day, they find a way to get that person out. Because white folks know who they can use as puppets. They know who dances to their tune. They can tell who they can manipulate. And unfortunately, we have a few in our midst in Africa, as well as in this country, by the way, who are all ready to please white folks. And at the end of the day, they get handed their Negro cards. They get a wake-up call and get reminded in most cases, in all cases, that they are still black. This is who he's talking about. Oh boy, we're going to have a conversation today.
The case of Niger, for more than 40 years, some countries have been exploiting uranium to produce energy at home. From Ottawa to Paris, the streets are lit up, it is light, but in Niger, it is darkness that is served to us. When you go to our states, our soils are pierced on all sides to search for precious metals such as gold, but often there is not even the slightest accessible road to reach the areas where they exploit gold, much less some basic social services. That is why we decided to revolt and take the destiny of our countries in hand. There are many other examples.
Mais lorsque nous avons décidé ainsi,
But when we decided so, well, we were approached by some living room slaves to pass on the message of their masters,
pour nous passer le message de leur maître. Parce qu'ils avaient créé
because they had created this kind of polymer chain that rises at the head of our states to serve them, but we came to break the chain, and it is inconceivable for them.
et nous sommes venus briser la chaîne. Et c'est inconcevable pour eux. Ils nous ont donc approchés.
So they approached us and asked us to join the ranks to be part of the elite that must lead Africa, because they have a trained and formatted elite, who you must follow, and who are embedded in this chain.
Formés et formatés, qui doivent suivre, qui sont incrustés dans cette chaîne-là. Nous avons refusé.
We refused to join their ranks, and from then on hostilities began.
Les hostilités ont commencé. Et ils ont fait fourvoyer dans nos zones.
And they led several mercenaries, trainers, and agents into our areas, who went down to the Sahel hoping to carry out cowardly barbaric attacks against our populations, hoping to incite rebels. In addition to these attacks
Do you want to guess that the attacks against him and the assassination attempts against him are perhaps perpetuated and orchestrated by people that look like you and I? You want to guess that? One of his staunch critics and attackers, and you've heard him say it many times, are people from either Ivory Coast or Benin Republic. He has a lot of oppositions from these two countries. And these are people that are neighboring countries. Why? Because these are the living room slaves that he talks about. They will always use our own against our own. Right? Because how is it possible? Just think about it for a second. How is it possible that a white person or an imperialist that lives thousands of miles away is able to touch one of our own in Africa? How? How is it possible that they're able to carry an assassination attempt, or even successful ones, against one of our own in Africa? How do you think they're able to do it? They're able to do it because they use one of our own against one of our own. It's always been the way. Black folks have always been destroyed. When you find black revolutionary leaders in the past, even here in this country, let's not exempt the ones here. When you find the likes of Malcolm X, he was assassinated by his own people. Marcus Garvey was betrayed by black people. Martin Luther King also was attacked mostly and criticized by black people. When you find in Africa our leaders who have been assassinated, Thomas Sankara, right? Gaddafi. You find many like that too, that have been killed who were trying to better Africa. How do you think they achieved that? How do you think they were able to get that? They used our own people to take that out. And so he says that when they didn't want to join the so-called corrupt elite club, now there's a problem. Now those living room slaves now do the bid of their leader, of their masters, who are imperialists, to take out well-intended men and women who are trying to change Africa. Isn't that something?
On the ground, communication attacks, manipulation, and disinformation are in full swing in their souls. But the people of the Sahel have understood, and never again will we be able to be swayed. They know what they are doing, and they know where they are going. We are not going to allow this anymore. People are awake and people are fighting today, not for ourselves, but for generations to come. And thank you all for the fight that is being fought. It never makes us cry. We are not going to tremble. We are going to confront them. We are going to fight for real independence and for our freedom. Because to scare the people of the AES, these individuals only have 3 words in their mouths, that is democracy, freedom, human rights.
Liberté, droit de l'homme.
Of course, their local vassals are only elected in a free and transparent democratic process according to them and their values. What could be more normal than wanting to impose this on us? Because they are the ones who make the rules. We know them very well and we have decided to take responsibility. This is why on the 26th of July 2023, when Niger decided to turn the page, the parlor slaves and their masters got on their high horses. They put their local valets forward and decided to wage war against the people of Niger. So we said that whoever dares to attack Niger, we will face him. Because we will wage a merciless war until the last drop of blood for whoever dares to attack our states. This word, this decision that we had yesterday is relevant today and will be relevant tomorrow and forever. Thus was born the AES on the 16th of September 2023, in an architecture of mutual defense. But we deemed it necessary to extend and expand the architecture of the AES. What brings us together today must allow us to move into other areas in addition to defense, including finance and the economy, infrastructure, health, education and so on. I therefore hope that these moments will be for us a story that we will write, not just for the AES but especially for Africa and for the whole world. May God enlighten each and every one of us. May God inspire us in these tasks entrusted to us. And above all, that when we do all our work that we have in mind only one thing, the supreme interest of our populations. On this we pray once again to God, that He accompanies us all in our various tasks, that He protects our fighters who, thanks to them, allow us to be seated here and to discuss the future of our states. So, thank you once again, people of Niger, be united and supportive, people of the AES, homeland or death.
Well, I gotta tell you, God bless Ibrahim Traoré. God bless the AES. God bless them. God bless all of them. Because the way Africa has been going, I'm telling you, God and our ancestors looked upon that continent and said, I need to raise up a vessel or vessels who are going to save that continent. God bless him. Because he has truly, right, embodied what it means to be a Pan-African. He truly is a Pan-African. He resonates with all of us. He and the other ones from Niger and also Mali. God bless Mali. See, Mali was the first one. Mali to carry out a coup because it was sick and tired of being sick and tired. God bless all of them. Because Africans are tired of the way things are going. See, the reason why most of us, let me help you understand this right now. The reason why most of us are in the West has been as a result of our bad leaders and the policies in our countries. Most of us don't want to be here. Am I lying? If I'm lying, put it in the comment section. If I'm lying, if you are from Africa and you live in the West, You migrate in the West. Let me know that I'm lying, that you enjoy living in the West. Let me prove me that I'm lying, because I know I, for one, I don't like being here. I don't. The reason why most of us are here is because our bad leaders sold our countries and our resources to the West. They're selling us down the river. And so we have to come up to a country like this, or countries like this, to be abused, racially profiled, discriminated against based on our skin color, the way we talk, our features. See, we have it bad as Africans, right? We have it bad because not only is our features very distinctive, beautiful, by the way, right? It's a beautiful feature. So don't let anyone lie to you. Being in Africa is the most beautiful thing on the planet. But to this part of the world, who is full of discrimination and hate, not only is the way we look, right, a problem, our feature is a problem, the way we talk is a problem. And on top of it, when they find out that we come from certain countries, that's another problem. So that really compiles the type of discrimination that you get. And it's because of our bad leaders. Those living room slaves, those parlor slaves. Because if we had leaders like Ibrahim Traoré, if we had our leaders who were assassinated in the past and they were allowed to do and for their own people, I guarantee you, no African will be here. And if you did find one, it would be a very small. Very small. And so a lot of Africans are here because when we have these Europeans go to our continent and steal from our continent, it's only right that we come up here and tap our resources that you stole from our continent. So don't ask me why am I in your country. Why are you in my country? Why are you in my country? Why are you on our continent? No, we're here because you won't leave us alone. Because you corrupted our leaders. You put a gun in their heads. You assassinated the good ones. And so a lot of us have come up here now because our lands have been wasted because these Europeans won't leave us alone. They need us to survive. But most of us are not happy here. We're not. I look forward to the day where I go back home, and I am planning on going back. Don't get it twisted. I am planning on going back. Because for me, this is a substandard living. This is substandard. It's a substandard way of life where you are discriminated against on the basis of your skin color. When I walk out every morning, I'm always discriminated against at least 3 times before the end of the day. Whether I go to the store, whether I meet one person somewhere at some business dealings, or whatever, it's always the same situation. It makes you living every day very, very difficult because of your skin color. That's what I call a substandard way of life. Because what kind of life is it? Right? That you are told that you are less than, whether in words or in actions or in some kind of signal. What kind of way of life? I've come to a point in my life that I would rather live in somewhere in Abeokuta. I would rather live somewhere in a remote part of the village where I know that when I wake up every day with the people that look like me, I don't have to defend my blackness. I don't have to feel sorry for being black. I don't have anyone spitting in my face or making me feel less than. That to me is a quality life. I'm at a point in life right now where for me, that is more of a superior and quality life than having to live in a nice house, right? But the people around you make you feel less than. Every time you go anywhere, they make you feel less than, right? So for me, I'm ready to go. My kids are the only reason I'm here. You know, my kids. The moment my kids go to college, I'm out of here. And I wish it were tomorrow. For me, I wish it were tomorrow. But the point I'm making is that the reason why a lot of us are here is because most of our leaders the corrupt leaders who have sold our countries, the ones that he's talking about, looted our countries, kept our countries poor, impoverished their own people, is the reason that most of us are here, at the benefit of white people. And it's sad that when you find leaders like Ibrahim Traoré, who is trying to step up to do something right for his own people, you will find a Negro, a parlor slave, a house Negro, who's been paid off by white people, who wants to please white people at all costs, go to a guy like Ibrahim Traoré and try to get him to switch course, try to corrupt him because he's been corrupted. And the moment that he says, no, I'm not, go to hell, he now goes back to his master like a dog and say, hey, master, see what he say? He say he's not going to. And the master says, okay, here's what we're going to do. I need you to go ahead and mobilize a way to deal with him. So he becomes the mouthpiece and the handpiece for his white imperialists to destroy one of his own. So the master can say, well done, my good and faithful servant. Now get away. I'll send for you when I need you tomorrow. This is why Africa has been the way it is. But now you're seeing Africans revolt against this. You're seeing countries like Burkina Faso, Niger, Mali. You're seeing many countries, Chad, Kenya, with their youth revolting against this. And many other African countries are asking, you know what? Kenya is brave. Isn't it amazing? You know, kudos to Kenya, for God's sakes. Kudos to Kenyans. My hat go out and it's raised to Kenyans. Kudos to Kenyans. Because Kenyans have caused their president to withdraw a finance bill that was going to put hardship on them and also to fire most of his cabinet members. Right? I got a video I got to talk about Ruto. You know, he's firing everybody but himself. You know, they want you to be out of there. You're the cause of the problem. But Kenyans in their bravery caused their own corrupt government to change course. Amazing what we can do when we stand up to our own government. Amazing what Africans can achieve when they stand up against their own government, especially the corrupt ones. Because this whole house Negro, living room slave, parlor slave has gone on way too long. It seems to be something that is embedded with black people. You find them everywhere. In Africa, you find them here, who are subservient to white people. The whole house Negro thing, which he calls living room slave, that whole phrase was created during the slavery. During the slave era, where you have the house Negro who thinks he or she is better than the one outside. Because they're dusting the living room and they're right there by the masters and they're serving tea and coffee to white people. But at the end of the day, they go and sleep outside in the boys' quarters with the outside slave. The house Negro, which was obviously a strategy that was used to divide us, to make a few of us think that we're better than the other ones in the field, when they give a few of us opportunities. And so we start to look down on the other ones in the field, right? Because the master tells you, oh, come and make my bed. So you get to see the master's bed. You know, take care of my kids. It's a privilege, isn't it? Isn't it? You know, it's a privilege. Take care of my kids. Play with them. You, the house Negro, the one in the field, gets to be out there with the sun beating down his back or her back. And so there's this conflict now that goes between the one that is, and that's what they've used to destroy us. You still see it today. You see it today. You go to any job, you find black people at a job who will shit on their own at a job. Right? They do the most against their own people because they want to please white people. And at the end of the day, they get handed their Negro cards, get fired. And these same ones will come to us and want us to feel sympathy with them. They want us to feel sorry for them. Oh, look at how now the white person is racist. Now that white person is racist. But when you were a dog licking the boots of that white person, you were doing the master's beat. Every one of us were getting shafted by you because you were doing the most to please the white person. Now they're racist. Now they've gotten rid of you. You want to come and you want to make us feel like, oh no, we got to stand up against these people. Really? Those are the worst ones amongst us. Right? These are the ones that Ibrahim Traoré is talking about. And you have them in every part of the world. You have them certainly in Africa. And they have been the ones that have done the white person's bed to keep Africa subjugated. They've been the ones, they've sold our mineral resources. How do you think that corporations in the West were able to go to Africa to have mineral rights in our countries? How did they do it if it weren't for the help of some living room slave, leader, puppets that made that happen? How do you think our men and women are in poverty in Africa if it weren't for these living room slaves? How is it possible that you will have a corporation from the West go to Africa and set up shop, and all the execs and the top management in that company are all white people, and they're in Africa? How's that possible? That the low-level workers are black people from that country, but the managers and management teams are nothing but foreigners, and they're setting shops in your own country. But when you go to their country, it's the same thing. You find them in all positions of prominence, and they go to your country and do the same thing. Why? Because of some living room slave. How is it possible that you have foreigners in Africa living in the best land, living in the best areas in our countries, and the citizens of that country live in the worst areas in our country? How is it possible that you'll find people in Africa that will wait on white people in Africa quicker than they'll wait on their own people in Africa? How is it possible that you'll find black people in Africa that will use yes sir, yes ma to white folks and foreigners, and they will not say that to you? These are the people we're talking about. So God bless Ibrahim Traoré. God bless all of them. And every Pan-African who is out there speaking the truth to power, waking the eyes of his people, God bless you. Because there's nothing more powerful and more precious and more beautiful than being an African. I've said it way too many times. Let me say this again and I'll close. There's nothing more powerful, more beautiful, more precious than your black African skin. And I know that the ads, the commercials, the promotions of others over you have made you think yourself less than. We're not talking about hating other people. That's not what we're talking about. Okay? What we're talking about is you loving yourself more. Loving your people more. So I'm glad that Pan-Africanism is rising strong, and I'm glad to see the youth in different countries now saying enough is enough. And putting those leaders on notice. That's exactly what we need to do. To take our race, our countries, and our continent back. So God bless Ibrahim Traoré and the AES. Thank you all for watching. Please like this video, share the content, subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you all next time. Men du fett och vanlig, och det jag lägger all min tid. Jag vill ha det, du får mig känna safety.